Things are changing fast in this digital world, so much so that a growing number of businesses will not even accept cash anymore.
Yeah, they are starting to set up reverse ATMs that quickly turns cash into a prepaid debit card to be used on the fly.
Yo, we're heading for a digital future.
I know it.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. Revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions.
Marching, trying to show that they're like they represent Orlando or like they represent Florida. They don't.
Will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
The reverse ATM has successfully delivered us the next step of the global governance agenda. They call it a cash-to-card payment solution, which would serve a variety of clients across numerous industries, including retail, transportation, hospitality, sports, and entertainment. Now, we know traditional ATMs spit out cash to bank customers who insert their debit or credit card. But in this twist, a prepaid card is ejected from the ATM in exchange for your cash. And apparently, this trend is growing rapidly in its popularity.
Now here you can see exactly how it works. You load money into a kiosk like you see here, and within seconds, you can get a receipt confirming your conversion and a prepaid active card. Many of the prepaid cards are either MasterCard or Visa, and you can use them anywhere where those cards are accepted. Some kiosks may actually charge you a $5 fee for the card. Meanwhile, amusement parks, fast food restaurants, and many professional sports venues are already using the cash-to-card kiosk, and you'll start seeing more of them in airports and on college campuses.
Now that's wild. You know, I heard during the last pandemic that there was a rumor they're gonna get rid of physical currency anyway.
Right. Because
they're like, oh, it's unsanitary. Right. So I can see this already leading in that direction. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, most definitely. They discussed this very thing during the World Economic Forum back in 2022. They held a summit called World Government Summit 2022.
Okay.
And ironically, that was one of the things that they talked about, moving away from that physical currency.
Gotcha.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71, and so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on.
You know, as an article I seen pull it up here, man. It says, according to the Washington Examiner, in 2019, physical currency was only used like 26% of all purchases.
Right.
Which, and I'm thinking about it like, I don't have any cash. I haven't used cash in a while, and they said that's a sharp decline from like 2012, where like 40% of all purchases were through like physical currency. Now everything's digital, debit cards, credit cards. Just it's I don't know, crazy.
Nah, I know what you mean, cause like I go through that same thing. Like my father, you know, he old school, so he is constantly talking about you know how to use that card. I forget the exact term that he always say for it, but because he only uses cash for stuff, occasionally there's things that he wants, and because he don't use a card, he come to me for it. And so,
oh, you know what? Subscription services.
Yeah.
You didn't even think about that. So let's say, what if I want Netflix?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't I ain't put $1 in a TV.
Right.
Like a vending machine. So
Right.
you get all the vending machines. You just tap your card, and that's crazy.
Yep.
And then we're getting rid of physical media as well. Not even just cash. I seen a story of how like Best Buy talking about they're gonna scrap all of their physical media by the end of this year.
Right.
So starting 2024, Best Buy is probably not gonna have like CDs or music, games, like anything like that. I think Walmart's cutting it too, but I think they're just gonna cut their video games.
Right. I remember you telling me about that. Okay.
Yeah, it went from 46% physical currency to 26% just because of the pandemic. I say we just need one more pandemic to get us over that hump. And then you already heard your boy Biden said there's going to be another pandemic.
But we don't just need more money for vaccines for children eventually. We need more money to plan for the second pandemic. There's going to be another pandemic. We have to think ahead.
Speaking of another pandemic,
Right.
your boy Bill Gates, Bill Gates, Kill Gates, him and the Johns Hopkins University Center for Health Security, they conducted something called catastrophic contagion in the partnership with the WHO,
Right.
which is the World Health Organization, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. All right.
Right.
So they took part in this tabletop exercise where they did a simulation of a deadly virus with like polio-like symptoms. It's supposed to take off in South America, right? 2025. That's when it's supposed to happen. Killing millions of people, especially children.
Officials in 2 Latin American countries alerted the WHO of several outbreaks of a new infectious disease that's mysteriously appearing across the region. Severe Epidemic Enterovirus Respiratory Syndrome 2025. Over the past 6 weeks alone, there have been 500 confirmed or suspected cases reported. The virus could cause a severe pandemic if early containment and mitigation efforts are not successful.
A risk for the global health security.
Pandemics are inherently political, financial, and so much broader.
Cannot decide a lot of things without the leaders be involved and agree on that.
There is no substitute for national leadership.
It's important to support the local response or the national response.
Training those that are in these areas first, enabling them with the tools, protecting them, and if needs be, regional solidarity first.
And communication should include not just scientists with data, but also social, religious, and political leaders.
Trust. This is an essential issue.
As of today, there have been an estimated 1 billion cases worldwide, with more than 20 million deaths, including nearly 15 million children. Countless millions are alive, but left with paralysis or brain damage.
Now, it's a simulation, it's a fictitious virus. But why that's important? I don't know if I mentioned. SERE, that's what it's called. SERE. But why this is important, even though it's a fictitious virus, is because this exercise was done earlier in 2019 for COVID. There was a respiratory infection that they simulated. It was called Event 201. I'm going to show that one to you guys. Event 201. And it was simulated just 2 months before the pandemic happened. Coincidence?
I think not.
Nah.
These epidemic events are getting more and more disruptive to health and to economy. And the reason we called it Event 201 is we knew eventually one of those days, one of those events would be the big one. And that big one would really challenge our capacity to respond. And to respond to the big one, we do need to have all hands on deck.
And even if it doesn't happen this way, another pandemic isn't a far-fetched idea. With the WHO warning of painful mosquito-borne diseases, that will be a major problem this decade. And not only that, but we also have the World Economic Forum obsessively talking about water.
Right? We are all only as healthy as our neighbor is on our street, in our city, in our region, in our nation, and globally. Did we solve that? Like, did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. You know, climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably other times? And hopefully we won't keep failing on the other things, but anyway.
And to add insult to injury, we also have a secret Chinese biolab that was discovered in California.
China?
China.
China. China. China. China. China. China. China. China. China.
It all started with a local code enforcement officer in Northern California who noticed a garden hose attached to a facility. The hose for the building, which was listed as empty, was but a minor infraction. Just a minor one. However, as we know, snow rolls downhill. This minor infraction led police to uncover a lab filled with biological weapons and thousands of vials believed to be experimental viruses, including COVID, ironically.
An illegal Chinese-run biolab was discovered in California back in March. Now, photos from the lab are coming out, painting a horrific scene. Local and federal officials raided the lab, which was genetically engineering mice and experimenting with COVID-19, HIV, herpes, and malaria. Fresno County authorities said the mice were being engineered to catch and carry COVID-19. Photos from the lab show thousands of dead mice stuffed in storage bins and freezers filled to the brim with bottles of blood and plasma. They also show stacks of boxes containing dangerous pathogens, including one labeled malaria.
Now, the million-dollar question is, who owned this building? The answer is a 62-year-old man of Asian descent by the name of Jai Bei Zhou, or Zhu, I believe it is. Now, on the bright side, he was arrested. But the crazy thing is he was charged with misbranded medical devices and lying to the FDA.
Hold on. Misbranded medical devices?
Misbranded.
They had genetically modified rats. Rats, they were modified to carry COVID. That sounds like the plague. They probably throwing fleas at you. Give me your COVID, the new variants. Just like he was saying, they had vials of blood and serum listed as COVID, listed as HIV, Ebola, and I think there's a couple other, man. I'm gonna show you guys all that too.
Yeah, about 30 freezers and refrigerators were found, with some set to minus 80 degrees. The CDC detected at least 20 potentially infectious agents, according to court documents. Hey, you know though, I wonder, how'd they get in here?
Probably the border.
Very possibly. Very possibly.
Well, actually, they said he believed he came through the Canadian border.
Really?
Yeah. So and he was a fugitive in Canada. So it's like, how did he even make his way
all the way down the? Oh man!
You go into Canada, you go all the way down, you go across the border, and then boom, you set up shop here.
Yeah.
How? So now they say officials are trying to find out. My bad. Officials are trying to find out, like, how did he have connections to the Chinese Communist Party? How did he get American intelligence information? How is he getting millions of dollars?
Right.
You know how, man. You know how we got that bond with China. You know,
Yeah.
Biden best friends.
They have found over $10 million from China, Russia, Ukraine, and Romania funneled through the corrupt influence peddling schemes to line the pockets of the Biden crime family. The DOJ, FBI, and other federal agencies mobilized to play cover-up and attack Biden's leading political opponent, Donald Trump, in a desperate effort to distract from Joe Biden's failings. And Joe Biden has lied continuously to the American people about how he was not only aware of, but was involved with and financially benefited from his family's corrupt influence peddling scheme. This week, the House Republican Conference is unveiling an impeachment inquiry website, providing the public with a one-stop shop for updates from each of our committees and the evidence they are uncovering. It also includes a timeline, which lays out exactly what the Biden crime family did to get us to this point. Transparency is the hallmark of America. With each new fact we find, it becomes more clear that Joe Biden is compromised and unfit to lead.
Speaking of, there's an article I seen where China, Xi Jinping, said working with them is not an option. That's important. What does that mean? So if I invited you to my house and I said, hey man, leaving is not an option, you'd be like, this man is crazy. So, okay, if you in a meeting and Xi Jinping's like, hey, us working together is not an option. Right. What did he just say? And, double speak. What is he telling us?
In a double speak, he's telling us that there is no choice. We're in this to the end. Mm-hmm. We gonna ride till the wheels fall off.
I'm good. So right now, we're trying to find out. That was just one lab, right?
Right.
And this is like months ago when this is found.
Right.
So how many more labs are in this country?
That right there actually is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
And while we don't yet have an answer to that, there is more information that will be turned up in the future. I'm sure of it.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, we'll focus on something that's actually going on in our own medical field. And what that is Salem Hospital, just 20 miles northeast of Boston, Massachusetts, has announced that over a period of 2 years, they've potentially exposed hepatitis B, C, and HIV to about 450 patients.
Good Lord.
Yeah, man.
How? How? All right, so a couple articles I seen, they said it was procedure done. What is it called? Endoscopy procedure.
Right.
That's when they're like putting a tube down your throat.
Right.
With the camera and the light, they found out there's anything wrong with you.
Well, actually, on that, there's actually a couple of different procedures that fall up under the
endoscopy, I believe.
Endoscopy.
I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
There's a bronchoscopy, a colonoscopy, and then a laparoscopies. Ooh, yeah, you're gonna have to pronounce those for me.
Got, don't put them on the screen.
Yeah.
Were they just not cleaning it? Just using the same tube?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Salem Hospital did release a statement.
Salem.
Yep. They said, quote, "We have determined that the infection risk to patients for this event is extremely low."
How do you know?
And have notified all patients potentially impacted, set up a clinician staff hotline to answer questions, and, quote, "We are providing them with free screening and any necessary support."
Well, that's a good thing. I seen the article also said that it was due to improper IV administration.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, are we sharing needles? Are you reusing needles? They're supposed to be one-use disposable needles. Like, how? And then with this whole Chinese lab thing, I'm just like, is there a connection there? Why are those? I don't know.
I probably wouldn't jump that far to say that there is a connection with China, but again, only time will tell.
Yeah. I think this was probably just medical mishaps.
Yeah.
Someone not doing their job, cleaning correctly. But it doesn't make me think, like, how many... I'm still stuck on them labs. I think the article I seen was from, like, March. It is December as of this recording, and I'm just now finding out about it. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, like you would think something like that would have gotten more national coverage.
Exactly.
Like, instead, what's trending on social media right now? I think T.I. fighting with his son is trending right now. I saw something about that, I believe just this past week. There's a couple
P. Diddy.
others. The P. Diddy and Cassie rape case, which is funny, like considering that they're focusing on this aspect of like P. Diddy when allegedly he hired a hitman to murder Tupac Shakur. But that's not even like talked about anymore.
No, it's a lot of things that just put in the background, and none of these things aren't horrible or actually going on. That is, they're throwing this in your face because something even bigger is happening in the background. That's the importance of like when all of these celebrities are doing things, it's most likely a distraction from something else. So start digging.
Truth. There's a guy that once made the analogy of our modern entertainment world, whether it be football, basketball, the celebrities in media and movies and stuff like that. Whenever they go to acting crazy, or whenever the focus is being pushed on like that particular sport or something going on around that, that is just the Emperor of Rome pushing and steering everyone and keeping them preoccupied with the Olympic Games. With the Olympic
People
Games.
ask too many questions, send them to the circus.
Yep, that's it. Send them to the circus. And keep them, they'll stay docile and glazed over eyes and will pay no attention to what's actually going on.
We will literally entertain ourselves to death. We're going to meme ourselves to death.
Facts.
What does the emperor do when the people become resty, and when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum, and he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. He has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. But let me tell you something. When 150 of the most powerful men and women in the world can meet in secret in Baden-Baden, Germany, and plot the fate of billions, and nobody even cares about it, but 6 football players go to lunch together, and it's in the headlines across the country, you have a reflection of the society in which that exists. And it is a sick, sick society that is doomed to self-destruction. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball.
Are you ready for a new world order?